Hello, chess lovers. We have now reached the 10th suggestion of mine, what I believe is one of the best chess books in the world. And for that I have chosen Zurich International Chess Tournament 1953 by David Bronstein. I have the privilege to meet David Bronstein in real life. I even played 2 games against him, classical games, and I had a dinner with him one time. And I regard him as one of the most important persons for me. I mean, one of the most important teachers how to play chess on high level. And my focus have been mainly on middle game books, and this is a tournament book. But this book is an exception because I would call it a middle game book. And the reason is, in the 50s, a revolution took place. We might say it was the King's Indian and Sicilian revolution, because at that time they understood that some classical principles were not entirely correct, especially regarding the backward pawn on d6. For example, in the Boleslavsky variation in the Sicilian defense, or several variations in the King's Indian defense, you will get a backward pawn on d6, even sometimes a weak square on d5, especially in Sicilian defense. A good example is the Sveshnikov variation. So formerly the view was more static. Stein's theories were mainly static. So what they did during this time was that they understood and practiced the dynamics of these positions. And the main principle is that a weakness is only a weakness if you can attack it in an effective way. And practice has shown, many games from this tournament, it's not so easy, it's a hard nut to crack. And another thing I learned from this book was that it's very important to centralize the queen. And I was obsessed with this theme, that in the game I played against Peter Backe in Lindesberg 1993, Swedish Championship, the highest group, I centralized my queen and it was trapped. Surprisingly, I managed to win the game anyway. So I had 2 lessons. So this book taught me how to centralize a queen, and my practical games taught me that you must also be very careful, especially in the middle game, when there are many pawns and many minor pieces around the board. So you might say this is one, if not the best, tournament books in the world. It's also talking a lot about how to play on the same color complex. That is something the Swedish grandmaster Ulf Andersson understands very deeply, and also, I mean, Tigran Petrosyan, who also participated in this tournament, also understand it very deeply. So what you are actually learning here is the Soviet school of chess, and you are learning the dynamics, and you are learning, especially in the openings, King's Indian and the Sicilian. So what you essentially focus on is how to win with the black pieces. So there are several editions of this one. I showed you my 2 here. You can also find this tournament written by other authors. For example, Max Oive, and even Najdorf has written a book, also the Swedish grandmaster Gideon Stolberg. But I believe the book by Bronstein takes first place. I mean, of course, the games are similar in this book, but the comments are different. I have recommended Max Oewe before when I talked about his middle game book, which I can see up there in the shelf. So I didn't study it so carefully, this tournament book by him, but I assume it's good because he was a very good annotator. So now I have told you what I think are the 10 most important books to read. Many books I have not mentioned. I mean, there are many good books out there, but I believe that these 10 books are on the top of all chess books in the world, in the perspective that they have benefited me very much knowledge. I'm talking about real knowledge. So if you want to improve your chess and enjoy chess at the same time, you can definitely focus on these classics. I will return with a clip later on where I will show you a little bit more of my bookshelf to give you some inspiration. I mean, what kind of books I have read in my generation. And I will also repeat these 10 suggestions in one clip. So thank you for watching all these 10 clips, and I will summarize my suggestions in the next clip. See you then.